Ross, do you feel you stabbed Mark Harvey in the back?
Not particularly.
Can I ask you, Mr. Lyon, what values do you think represent football these days?
So are you saying it was St Kilda's fault that they didn't move quick enough that you left?
No, but these people seem to be saying that this is staying the integrity of the club.
When you said that you didn't stab Mark Harvey in the back, those fans reacted very angrily.
Well, as I said it today, we can just judge them on future actions and make movements to take out of the football club.
Fremantle will play Hawthorn in the grand final. Siren sounds.
It's not about the best home and away team. We all know that. It's about the best finals team. And we've had two significant performances. We go over knowing our best can challenge anyone. We're going to ask some serious questions of the Hawthorn Football Club.
But let's find out from the man who has led them to their first ever grand final and hopefully a premiership. Ross Lyon joins us from WA. Welcome and congratulations, Ross.
Thank you, Jared.
Well, you've got the purple shirt on. We are bemoaning the fact that you won't have the purple jumper on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I heard the discussion. Slightly disappointing from our end. We'd love to wear the purple, but the executive of the AFL and our club have got together and decided that our away strip is the best alternative strip, and certainly hasn't stopped us winning in it before, and we aim to do so again on the weekend.
Ross, we just relived that bruising, gruelling encounter with the media that you had when you arrived in Perth. What was your view of the Freo list when you were first approached about your interest in, or possible interest in the job?
Look, I think if you go back to further footage, I hadn't analysed the list at all. You know, I took what was there, and you know, as it sits now with the 9th youngest list, but you know, sometimes that debate, who's the youngest list, it gets a bit tiresome as a coach, and it's often bandied about for a number of reasons and a number of agendas. But I think historically you'd need to be an older, more mature list to play in prelims and grand finals and win them. So at 9th, I think Collingwood were the 9th youngest list when they bowled over the Saints, so it can be done, and that's what we're aiming to do. But the list, you know, we've got Sutcliffe's going to play, Neil's going to play, Tommy Sheridan's right in the mix. So those guys weren't there. Lee Spur wasn't a part of it, and some careers have turned around, like Walters, and we brought Dawson in. So there's been a fair change in the starting 18 to 22 anyway.
Just interested though, mate, you wouldn't have walked out on St Kilda and gone all the way across to Perth and you said you weren't aware of the list. I mean, you must have seen something in this group that you thought you could expand on.
No, well, as an AFL coach, you're aware, but as you know, you knew they were a younger, growing list, but their best players were their veterans, and you could argue at the minute they still are, which is Pavlich, Sandilands and McFarlane. So there's still a lot of growth to go, and who knows how long those guys go on. But at the end of the day, I mean, we can go back there and revisit it, and we can spend the whole interview on the past, but it certainly wasn't a particular concern. The reasons I'm in this chair are well documented. I was comfortable back then, I'm really comfortable now, and I've moved on, and it's really about the grand final and the game this week that I'm really here to talk to you about.
What about, Ross, was there a game or games sort of this year or last when you sort of thought the best that you could deliver would get you into a grand final? Or has it been a slower process than that?
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, we benchmark ourselves on what it takes to win grand finals, and, you know, trying to be competent in all areas. And there were some games in the middle of last year where we knew we had to change and move the ball differently and structure up differently. And even this year, we've changed as we've gone. So, but, you know, our best performance against quality was Geelong in the final last year, and we stood up there, and out of that, the players took real confidence into this year on the back of that, and the Adelaide final, we were right in and a kick away from a prelim. So, but we had significant challenges this year with injuries, Sandilands and Pavlich and Fife and McFarlane missing long stretches, and Rico's of, you know, Griffin went down and Kepler Bradley went down. So we've been able to maintain together, but as we got our best back, but we're still missing Pearce and Ibbotson. So we've found a way to win, and we've got confidence in the footy we play. We're not perfect, we know that, we'll make mistakes, but, you know, we certainly work hard.
Well, looking back on it, Ross, are those injuries now more of a blessing rather than a negative. At the time, obviously, as a senior coach, you want your best 22 on the field every single week. But it does appear over the last month it may have helped you. You certainly look fresh going into the finals. You've had 2 terrific finals, as you mentioned before. Do you feel now that, given your players haven't been battered and bruised all year, that it is an advantage going into the grand final?
I don't know about an advantage versus Hawthorn, but for us, particularly for Aaron Sandilands, it's been, you know, he was in as good as form as I've seen him last weekend. So he'll go in, you know, in great form and feeling great. And he's had significant issues for 3 years. And a few of those guys like Fife and Hill, either through suspension or injury, that missed 2 or 3 weeks. Certainly now they feel good. You know, we get all those measures, their wellness and soreness, and you know they're not beaten up. They're going in fresh. And particularly we've only played 2 games out of the last 4 weeks, so that's helped top us up as well.
Ross, we've just seen an example of the Freo pressure, superb against the Swans the other night. What's the mantra that you sell to your players about what they have to do when the other side has the footy?
Get it back off them, Mike. That's quite simply. But look, we do work really hard. But, you know, I think with the crowd roaring and, you know, sometimes perception, you know, creates a reality that, you know, is built up a little bit. But we worked really hard. We fell away in the last quarter a little bit, which is, we're disappointed. And Hawthorn would look at that as an opportunity. Can they sustain it? All of those things. But we do know in grand finals, teams find a way to give great effort for 100 minutes. So we're really confident we can do it. Our whole thing is, our contested ball's gone through the roof the last 8 weeks. Our clearance work. So we aim to win it. And certainly our attack has been wanting at times, but as the personnel have come back and we've been more bold with our ball use, we've played some lesser teams, but against some quality, we've managed to kick over 100 points, you know, often enough. So we think in all areas we work really hard, not just without the ball. So, but what do we preach? Get it back on for them as quick as we can. It's as simple as that.
Daniel Pearce, I think, has been a little bit underrated for you, Ross. I thought at the end of last year he was going to be a good pickup for you. Not only for his outside run, I think everyone's sort of acknowledged that, what he can do on the outside, but I thought last weekend he was significant in a number of real in and under hard, in close clearances that we probably haven't recognised him as a player doing that before.
Yeah, it's a really good pickup. We brought him over for his skill and his run and his outside speed, but through those injuries, he was forced to go inside, and it's funny when people get an opportunity and you back them in, how much he's grown. You know, his ability to be clean in heavy contests, and he's a really powerful man. He's really quite strong. So he's blossomed in that inside role, and it's given the team great flexibilities. And we're all about growth, so we're thrilled for the team and him.
Ross, you said when you arrived there that the senior players, principally Matthew Pavlich and those blokes that have been around a while, had bought in, and it made your job so much easier. It's a rich reward now for Pav, isn't it? I mean, he's been so loyal to this footy club and so productive over so long. Is he excited?
Yeah, look, he's incredibly excited. And you're right, Mike, he's been a great servant of this football club. He's been well looked after, but in return, he's given magnificent performances. And until you get up close and you see some of the special players, you don't understand them fully, but some of the performances in particular last year in the second half as a power forward, you know, were just incredibly special. Richmond in the wet, Geelong in the final, he's just West Coast, the Derby where he tore them apart. He had some signature performances, I suppose, and you know, it'd be fitting for him if we can deliver. Not only for Matthew, obviously the whole club, but it'd be a great signature or exclamation point on his career.
Ross, can you learn anything from the way Tom Lonergan handles Buddy Franklin? I mean, Buddy Franklin would be someone you'd be wary about because he's so capable. Lonergan seems to handle him. Is there any message there for you?
Well, it's a great point. We've certainly gone through the archives and we cut out a lot of edits, looking at Lonergan, how he's played on him and how he's handled him. He comes in with an injury cloud, Buddy, the elbows. I know there's significant injuries, so will it affect his marking or his physicality? We're not sure, but we've cut those tapes or all those edits, and you know we're working through them, and we'll take bits and pieces out of them. But I think what's underestimated Geelong, their pressure at their best is as good as anyone's, as is Hawthorn. I mean, they're a top 4 defence, so they've got it all. But yeah, we will go to school on that, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit out of it.
Ross, you've been to the MCG a number of times before, and I know you're all about the team and about the things that you can control, but do you actually believe that you're due for just a hint of luck as the coach of a side in the grand final? Because you have suffered at the behest of a bit of bad luck and a couple of bad bounces.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in destiny and, that it gets gifted to you. Certainly, look, 09 was bad kicking. You can package it any way you like. You want to run into open goal 5 times and miss, you get your due reward. And 2010, a little bit of bounce of the ball would have been nice. So, but down at Geelong, we got a bounce of the ball, which went our way and really helped us. So there's been a few things along the way that we feel we've had a little bit of luck this year. And as Dennis Pagan said, after you work your hardest, all you got left over is a little bit of luck. So we know we're working as hard as we can, and it's a game of inches. Hopefully a bounce of the ball might go our way.
Ross, we do appreciate your time. It's obviously a really busy week for you, and it's only just beginning, but we do appreciate the fact that you will come on next week if you win the grand final. And because of that, Roosy's actually worn a purple shirt on the couch for the final time.
Well, with a Melbourne hat on. He's doing a bit rosy there at the minute, very busy.
That is a colour clash if ever there was one. Good luck, Ross, and we'll see you next week if, in fact, the footy gods are smiling on you.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Paul.